quality fans, high quality Bruins team. What's up, guys? This is a quick video. Game starts in 34 minutes. We're about to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I wanted to touch on a couple things that keep coming up on my timeline. That some of it I didn't really feel like was necessary to say, but I just realized I really enjoy talking to you guys. So let's talk it out, right? Let's. This is a video that I really desperately want your comments on this stuff below. Because I think it's important to kind of have these discussions about the team from a fan perspective. It's fun to do. Then the first one is the Evander Kane situation. So Evander Kane has been notified by the San Jose Sharks that his contract is potentially going to be terminated by them. They plan on terminating it because he has broken COVID protocols for the AHL. Reports are saying that he went to Vancouver COVID positive. He traveled there knowing that he was COVID positive. Now, the NHLPA has announced through Twitter, that's my best source right now for them, that they are going to file a grievance. I don't think there is as much. I know we reported this stuff and it has to get blown up, right? It is not surprising that the San Jose Sharks are doing this. It has been problem after problem. They basically just want to get rid of it. A termination of contract is an excuse they've been looking for. That is basically a massive loss of money for Evander Kane, who has had debt issues in the past. And so that is something that they've really wanted to happen because he's being paid a large amount of money. They need the cap space. It would work out well for them. Now, to call this a business move would be accurate because that is what the NHL is. It's a business. But if we're going to sit here and pretend like they didn't want to remove Evander Kane to start the season, they were just hoping for a reason to do it without cost, then we'd be fooling ourselves, right? It's not the cleanest situation. We always knew it would never end the cleanest way. The NHLPA, I know we're going to be pretty disappointed in defending Evander Kane. But much like there are defense lawyers in court, the NHLPA is that for NHL players. It is very common for them to take up the side of any player against the ownership of a team. It doesn't actually matter what the circumstances are. You are more than welcome to be annoyed by it and think that this is bullshit. But you also have to recognize that when you're fighting these battles as a players' union, you have to take the good along with the bad. To be able to have ground to stand on for the cases that are, worthy of your defense, you have to also stand up for those that might not be as worthy. Now, I'm not passing judgment on the Evander Kane situation because I, like many of you, are firmly removed from it. We don't have all the information. We're not in the rooms with these people. We don't know all the facts. The NHLPA has to defend him. Does it look bad? Yes. Do I personally agree with it? Would I be able to stand up there and be like, there's no reason to not pay this man? No, I don't think I'd be very good at that job, nor would I want to have that job. Will they win this case? It's a 50-50 because unions are pretty good at their jobs usually. That being said, there's going to be a lot of talk about where Evander Kane goes next. I feel like I should be on the record saying, no, I don't want him here. It feels like problems follow him everywhere he goes. I am not going to take stances on what is or is not true in his personal life, but where there is smoke, I've said this before, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this guy's got plenty of smoke. I'm going to leave this one alone. I'd prefer the Bruins continue their path and look elsewhere for help. That's my stance on the whole Evander Kane and the NHLPA defending Evander Kane. There's a lot of nastiness that'll come from this. I don't think that's necessary. I don't enjoy that kind of talk. I can say firmly that I know why the NHLPA is doing this, and I know why I don't want him on the team. Too much drama. I do theater, guys. Trust me. I get enough drama in my life. I don't need more drama. How about we talk about something a little more interesting? Because I don't think the Evander Kane thing really affects the Bruins all that much. David Krejci was recently interviewed, and via Google Translate, we got some nice little bits out of it that certainly point fingers at the coaching staff. I'm going to read some of this out to you, but the first one I want to read out is his statement on Pastrnak being dropped down onto a line with Haula and with Hall. I'm going to read it out for you. Coach Cassidy really let the two of us play together, the two of us being Krejci and Pasternak. It had to be so that he split the first line and put Pasta to me. It was a maximum of 2 matches. Years later, I leave Boston, and suddenly it's possible. That struck me, said Krejci. The coach always told me that there was no reason for Pasta's removal from the first line and that it would be as short as possible to distribute the forces. I know not all of this makes perfect sense. This is translated. I had to take it, says Krejci. But now Pasta is 5 or how many matches in the line with Hall and Haula. Strange. Now, strange can be, again, being translated, the word strange might actually translate into a few different things, but this article had gone with strange. He goes on to say, now I just think that Cassidy could have taken Pasta out of the first line for me, and everything could have looked different. That's a really important line. But it's the way it is. I don't blame the coach. Now, this doesn't read to me like a player who was pushed out of Boston by the coaching staff. But it does read to me as a player who thought that he could have been given more help. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. We all talked about why haven't we gotten Krejci line mates? And I think the blame on that falls more on Sweeney than Cassidy. But I think Krejci is missing a point here. And I'm a big David Krejci guy. I'm not blaming him for any of this. I think he's missing the point that Krejci was so good that we didn't always have to drop people to him. He was still successful playing with who the fuck ever. I think the fact that when you only have Taylor Hall as your main weapon on that line, and Charlie Coyle, as much as I've enjoyed him, has not mixed well with Hall. I think Coyle is having a much better season. I've been on record saying that. But Taylor Hall alone is not enough to drive a line. David Krejci is. And although the numbers weren't there to be a massive success, we could sit there and go, we have a great line and David Krejci who lifts those around him. And I think this statement actually undersells how impactful Krejci is on those around him. I really do believe that he might be missing the forest for the trees a little bit here, because he was so good that it wasn't always a conversation to drop someone for the first line down to him, because the team was still winning and he was still putting up points. I just think that's an interesting, yes, you guys could have been, Krejci could have been a first-line center. I think that's basically what he's saying. He's like, I wish I was in Bergeron's spot with both those guys to help. And I think Bergeron switched up, and he would be, after he left the league, saying the same thing. I just wish I had someone drop down to me. People forget that who was our first-line center in 2011? David Krejci. I think that these statements are fair, and I think that people are taking more out of them than there should be, taken out of them. You got to remember that we take these interviews and we blow them up as sports fans. We dissect them. But think about it this way. Say you're at a job, and in your department, you're a superstar. You crush it. Your day-to-day, dude, you are so fucking good at your job. You are absolutely annihilating your numbers. You're doing everything you can to lift the team. You're the best person there by a mile, and everybody knows it. In the department next to you, there are a couple of superstars working together, and they're crushing it. But they get all the attention in the company because they're so fucking good at their jobs, and they have each other to lean on, which makes them even better. I'd be upset too. I'd be sitting there going, hey man, I'd love some help. Like, yeah, I know I'm a rock star, but imagine what I could be with a little bit of help. I think it's fair for him to make these statements. I don't think he sees them as damning statements. I think he sees that as, man, it's a bummer that I couldn't have had a little bit of that when I was there. That's all it is. I understand both sides. And I know that's wishy-washy and that's not great of a analysis side of things. But what are you supposed to do? Hey, man, the situation was the situation. I think it is really interesting to think like, hey, what if we lowered Pasta during the playoffs? Would we have made it farther? Would we have won another cup? Would that have changed things? I think it's a really fair conversation. And it's a fun conversation. Maybe not fun because you're sad you didn't win more cups, but I think it's a fair conversation. But this is not a player dissing his coach. This is a player saying, man, I wish I could have gotten a little help. That's an ex-employee talking about how his situation could have been better there. That's totally fair. It's not said with maliciousness and aggression. It's said with, yeah, I used to work there. Man, I tell you what, we could have been so much better if I just had a little bit of help. No one is getting crushed by this. And we're blowing it up to a proportion that it doesn't need to be blown up to. It just doesn't. These are innocent comments from a player who knows very well that it could have been better had he had some help. But that's no guarantee that the first line wouldn't have been lesser without a hot shooting Pasternak, which I think, with the way Pasternak was hitting the net, I think the first line would not have been as formidable. They still would have been good, very good, great even, but maybe not elite. And that's a conversation to have. Finally, last bit of conversation. Rask is back. I mentioned it in the last video. He is spending time with the Providence Bruins as he has a PTO with them to get back up to game shape, to game speed. All the reports from practices is he looks as elite as ever. Great. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity that is coming out loudly from portions of the fan base about this. I'm not going to answer those who don't like Rask. If you don't like Rask, you don't like Rask. I'm never going to fix that for you. I personally like him. If you don't like him, that's fine. Like, we're just not going to agree on that, and that's where we're going to stand. I don't feel like arguing about something like that. Rask coming back is good for the team. Swayman will be sent down to the AHL to continue to get reps, to continue to develop. Is Swayman better than Ullmark? Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of us feel that way. Is Ullmark bad? No. I'm really surprised that there's a lot of Ullmark hate. Ullmark's pretty good. Maybe he's not as good as Swayman, but he's pretty good. And if he's going to back up Rask, great. Especially if neither of them falter. If Rask looks like his old elite self, we're going to be fine. It is a bummer to send Swayman down, but Swayman was very aware of this before the season started. There is no way this is a surprise to him. A lot of people have brought up the fact that Vladar, although his stats aren't as good after after a back-to-back with Calgary where he got pretty shellacked in both of them, they wish we went into the season with Swayman and Vladar and were able to bring Rask back and have either Vladar or Swayman down, whoever wasn't performing as well. Now, I want to point out again that Swayman and Vladar had a combined 15 regular season NHL games between them. Going into a season like that, behind a defense that was still trying to get their shit together, and I've already had this conversation where, yes, our expected goals allowed is the lowest in the league, but when you look at our early season, we just left our goalies out to dry 3, 4, 5 times a game massively. You'll remember moments when the defense looks good for about 6 minutes, and then we let up a 3-on-1, and it's a blatant bad 3-on-1 with time and space, and the goal, they scored consistently off those massive fuck-ups. The risk of going into the season with just Swayman and Vladar and not getting Rask, say he was available tonight, not getting Rask until the 31st game, what if we weren't 6 games above 500 or whatever it is right now? I don't actually know that our stuff off the top of my head, but I know we're a few games over 500. What if we're 3 games below 500 because one of these 2 goalies completely shit the bed? Now you could point at Vladar and say, Vladar's looked pretty good in Calgary. I've watched Calgary this season, and Calgary has been consistent defensively throughout entire games. Now, lately, the past couple games, that might not be as true. But Vladar has had a lot of support defensively. Whereas, although the advanced analytics point to the Bruins also being very supportive defensively, those first 15 games, I'm sure a lot of you agree, we had meltdowns on the back end that were massive scoring chances. We can disagree on the Vladar trade. Absolutely. I personally believe that Vladar will maybe be a decent backup in this league. I never thought of him as a starter. You may believe that he's a starter and that we traded a starter for a third-round pick. We'll see what happens, right? He's very early into his tenure. 8 games with Calgary. We can disagree on that. But the Ullmark signing came in for him to be part of a duo with Swayman and for Swayman to take a back seat when Rask got here this year. That's all that is. Maybe Rask comes for another year. Maybe he re-signs next year too. That's okay. Because we assumed that Swayman would still need some more development time. Because he had only had 10 starts in the NHL. And you can't leave stuff like that to chance. And Ullmark continued to put up good numbers on a really bad Buffalo team and is looking better and better this year, although the past couple starts haven't been brilliant. But his numbers are decent. Ullmark is supposed to be a stopgap between Rask and Swayman. And the team is happy to have Rask as long as he's healthy to kind of lead an elite charge into the postseason. Now, I know a lot of you go, all right, well, you're taking starts away from Swayman, who's the best goalie we have, in your opinion. Better than Rask, in your opinion. Come playoff time, we're not starting our best goalie. I get it. Hear me out on this, though. The coaching staff will start the best goalie. Whoever is playing the best, and I guarantee Swayman gets reps before the playoffs, whoever is playing the best will get to start in the playoffs. Cassidy feels the pressure to win a cup. Sweeney feels the pressure to win a cup. The players feel pressure to win a cup. We have 3 starting goalies. There is a third of the league who doesn't have one. Ullmark's contract for $5 million for 4 years, that's a tandem contract. Teams are spending $8 million a year on goalies. $5 million. Swayman is not even $1 million. It works. And yes, I know we love Swayman. I want to see Swayman start too. I don't like sending him down to the AHL. But this is good for our team. It really is. His development will continue. He's still your guy. He's still your guy for the next 12 years. You have a stopgap in Ullmark, who's making $5 million a year to play half our games. That's not as expensive as you think it is. And next year, if Rask doesn't re-sign, then it's this year, Sway and Ullmark, back and forth, which is fine. That's the way the league is moving. We can disagree on stuff with Vladar. We can disagree with if Swayman is better than Ullmark or whatever you want to disagree with on that. But I'm here to assure you that this is not a bad deal for the Bruins to have a third goalie come in and be effective. If Rask struggles, he's not going to get a lot of starts because we have 2 other goalies who can start. It's good stuff. It's good. I just want to get on here and hash it out. This will probably go up this will probably go up around when the game starts, maybe first intermission. But yeah, let's get this dub tonight against the fucking Lightning. Go Bees!